with Al Ghurair for its decision, but the commission attempts to allay NASA's concerns about the firm by inviting the coalition's agents to monitor the printing and distribution of the ballots. Sam Gituku brings us that report.
It's a meeting that had been expected to agree on key processes for the fresh presidential poll. The National Super Alliance getting impatient after their Jubilee Party counterparts failed to keep time for the 11 o'clock appointment. Their bigger concern, though, an 11-page document that outlines IEBC plans. Top on the list, a plan to procure ballot papers from the same supplier of last month's general election, Al Ghurair printing and publishing firm in Dubai. IEBC's reasoning being that they already signed a framework agreement with the firm that runs up to 2019. And to mitigate suspicion from political players, IEBC plans to facilitate NASA and Jubilee representatives to monitor the printing process while securing the ballot paper stacks with seals and tracking devices to monitor their movement from the printer to the polling stations. To avoid the uproar of over 1 million extra ballot papers witnessed last month for contingency purposes, IEBC plans to reduce the number of ballot papers per booklet. The Supreme Court reprimanded IEBC for presenting results declaration forms that had no authenticity checks. IEBC now plans to make it mandatory for poll officials to sign and stamp Forms 34A and Bs. Constituency returning officers will also be required to submit all original Forms 34As from their constituencies to the National Tallying Center, the Bomas of Kenya. And to preempt technological challenges in the transmission of results, IEBC has invited Jubilee and NASA to appoint agents to monitor the technology rollout. This to include auditing of IEBC servers that were used in the August election before the same can be deployed for the fresh election. The proposals are to form the basis of the joint meeting with IEBC, with NASA protesting an alleged ambush.
We are seeing it for the first time. We have not read it in detail. It's about 8 pages or 9 pages of a document. So it is only fair that we go back, look at this document.
We must respect the independence of IEBC. You know, we can't be complaining about an agenda. IEBC is coming forward with information they want to share with us.
With NASA insisting on at least 6 officials be removed from overseeing the election, IEBC has assigned CEO Ezra Chiloba the role of operationalizing the functions of a special project team appointed by Chebukati by providing administrative support. Jubilee Party, however, says it is not bothered by who does what at IEBC.
It is, in my very respectful opinion, a failure of our competitors to understand where the election is won or lost. It is won or lost with the voters.
We are ready to have a structured meeting where all the cards are on the table.
The biggest hurdle in this process for IEBC is how to bring together the opposing sides who are basically pulling against each other in terms of the specifics of holding the fresh election. However, it is a challenge that the Commission must face in the next few days if stakeholder involvement is to make any sense. Sam Gituku, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Well, that's story now bringing us to the headlines in the newspapers today. Let's start with the Daily Nation. Front page, NASA threatens poll boycott over Chiloba, and these are some of the respective stories within that. IEBC releases blueprint for October 17th presidential poll. Deputy President Ruto says Jubilee will respect agency's independence, while Raila rejects vote plan, gives list of demands he wants met. The key stories are on page 3 and page 6. Let me read one paragraph on page 3. NASA yesterday pegged its participation in the fresh elections on the sacking of the Electoral Commission's CEO Ezra Chiloba, basically sack Chiloba or we will not take part in October poll. It has also rejected a blueprint for the October 17th election prepared by the IEBC. The Commission has made various, and there you can see that story written by Patrick Langat. The Commission has made various changes or proposals to change the way the election was conducted, mainly in response to NASA's conditions. On page 6, NASA tables list of demands to IEBC. And let me read those demands to you in summary. More demands. Ballot printing. NASA wants Al Ghurair firm out of the exercise. And of course, IEBC responded stating that they have contractual agreement with Al Ghurair and thus they cannot get out of it as easily as is expected. When it comes to Forms 34B, NASA is demanding that they must have names of polling stations. So they want more details now on those forms. When it comes to result transmission, NASA is demanding that only scanned images should be sent through the KIMS kit to the constituency and National Tallying Center. I guess that is in response to the fact that you can also key in results into those kits and send. NASA saying, no, we don't want that. What we want is only scanned images that should be sent through the KIMS kit. And the media has also been asked to proactively cover all results. Raphael, you've been following this keenly. Your take on what is the big headline in both dailies?
I think, first of all, IBC needs to realize that it's an independent commission as stipulated in Chapter 15 of our Constitution. And so they have to ensure that they exercise that independence. And continued consultation with political parties should not undermine their independence. So we should see an IBC that is firm. We should see an IBC that is decisive. We should see an IBC that addresses the concerns that were raised by the Supreme Court ruling. We should see an IBC that adheres, you know, to the Constitution.
Although they don't have the full ruling, but what they have.
Yes, but
they should at least work on that.
Yes, but I think the Supreme Court, as we await for the detailed ruling, I think the Supreme Court raised the issue of ensuring that they focus. I mean, they adhere to the Constitution, the provisions of their mandate as per the Constitution, and also the rule of law. And so I think IBC needs to come out as a body that is independent and is not taking sort of directions, or rather directives, from any politicians across the divide. Because remember, the key principle for any politician is always to win an election. And so if they continue listening to the politician at the expense of focusing on their mandate as stipulated on the Constitution, I think we'll go back to where we were after I mean, as per the ruling. So I think IBC needs to up its game. And two, also I think we cannot, they say it's insanity to repeat something over and over again and expect different results. So I think we should see an IBC that is trying to, you know, put its house in order. What we've seen in the past, where the accusations and counter accusations amongst the commissioners, or rather and the secretariat, is something that is should worry all of us. We've seen the chairman coming out making certain pronouncements and then retracting. I think those are great concerns. So IBC truly needs to put its house in order if they're to sort of win over the confidence and the trust of the people. Because remember, commissions, one of their key responsibilities is to guard against, to guard the sovereignty of the people. And so in the event that they're not doing that and they're trying to win likes from the politicians, then you're going to have serious problems.
Okay, let's see what the Standard has on its front page. And they've not mentioned who the parties are, but they've used an analogy of sorts. Tug of war is what they are terming the current situation in our country. Pulling apart. President insists elections will be held on the 17th of October. You can see some of those headlines on your screen. Raila gives IBC 9 conditions and warns of poll boycott if they are not met. And IBC meeting with parties flops. And meanwhile, poll agency maintains Al Ghurair will print ballot papers. For detailed coverage of this in the Standard, page 6, 7, 8, and 9. Let me just touch on page 6 here. The headline is Uhuru asserts his authority in run-up to October 17th. That's on page 6 of the Standard. Let me read the first 2 paragraphs. President Uhuru Kenyatta has said the choice of voters expressed at the ballot should not be frustrated by technicalities in the October 17th election, or repeat polls rather. The president also defended his legitimacy to address a joint sitting of the newly elected 12th parliament, which was boycotted by opposition lawmakers. We carry on to page 8. Also a related story, IBC opts for Al Ghurair as meeting with parties flops. Dubai-based Al Ghurair will, and of course this is also in The Nation as well, will print ballot papers for the October 17th presidential election. IBC has maintained, citing a running contract. This emerged even as a meeting between the IBC and presidential candidates aborted. And one other story that I also want to bring in on page 9 of the Standard, Raila fresh threat to keep off polls. So this is now what you can see on page 1 of The Nation. The opposition has repeated its threat to boycott the October 17th presidential election if the Electoral Commission does not address its grievances. Yesterday at a rally dubbed the Kibra Declaration, which we saw on Citizen TV. The opposition chiefs led by Raila Odinga said there would be no election if IBC's Ezra Chiloba and his team do not step aside. So pretty much similar stories in regards to the state of the nation in both newspapers. Raphael, I won't ask you what your take is on this because you've already given me that. Rather, I want to find out from you, what do you expect to see and hear from the IBC today, tomorrow, over the next few days?
I think we expect to hear more in terms of how IBC seeks to address some of the concerns raised by the various political formations, both Jubilee and NASA. And I think that will be very important. They can't sweep most of these issues under the carpet. I think they need to come out and explain and take a stand on some of the issues that are being raised. The other thing that we also expect is to see the chair trying to communicate more with the public more than the politicians, because we've seen the chair, or rather the commission, IBC, trying to engage more with politicians than with the public, and so the needs and the concerns of the public seems to be lost. We also expect the chair to reach out to other stakeholders. I think election is not just for politicians. Election should also concern and involve and benefit from the wisdom of different stakeholders. We have civil society, for example, that has over the years played an important part in strengthening our democracy. We need to see IBC reaching out to them. We need to see IBC reaching out to religious leaders. We need to see IBC reaching out to the private sector and other players to find ways of ensuring that we have a smooth election come October 17th. And so they should also avoid sideshows. I think they should focus on their mandate, on what really matters, and what matters is for them to ensure free, fair and credible election. I think they should stick to that.
Even as we carry on with matters IBC, I want to take you back to the Daily Nation, page 14, the cartoon of the day there. A very interesting description of what is happening at this moment as both sides, that is Jubilee and NASA, seek to woo leaders from either side to join them. And in the Standard, one of the smaller headlines is Munya now defects from NASA to Jubilee. Let's see if we can put that cartoon up from the Daily Nation. It gives you an accurate picture of what this cartoonist thought is what is happening at the moment. That should be coming up on your screen in just a bit. I feel I can only describe this if you can see it. So just hold on just a little bit. We should have that cartoon on your screen. What you can see there, there we go. I'm told it's ready now. Great. So those are two beds. One bed I assume is representing Jubilee, the other NASA, although they haven't written it. And you can see former Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto, former Meru Governor Peter Munya hopping from one bed to the other. And on one side you can see the NASA coalition surprised by the exit of their partners. But on the Jubilee side, they smiled by the fact that they now have poached key players from the other side. Raphael, is this an accurate depiction of where we are at the moment?
Yeah, and that shows the kind of the nature of our politicians, the character of our politicians, that our politicians care more about their own political survival than about, principles and ideologies, you see. And so we'll see a lot more of these politicians jumping from one side to the other, because they want to ensure that they remain relevant. They want to ensure that they survive. As it is now, Jubilee seems to be making a better offer and providing more comfort for a number of politicians. So we'll see we'll see that kind of exodus. And I think people...
So you expect to see more?
We expect to see more of that exodus. And also remember, politics is about impression, and so I think what Jubilee also wants to present is that, look, we are the winning team, and so by poaching members of the NASA coalition, so NASA has to devise a strategy of ensuring that retain and they actually keep their members, which will be a very, very difficult thing for them to do. But we'll see a lot more of those movements taking shape in the coming days.
Truly interesting days that we live in. Raphael, thank you so much for finding time to be here with us today on the Newspaper Review.
Always a pleasure.
And helping us to tackle some of the key issues affecting the nation at this time. Thank you to everyone who's taken time to write in to us as well. We take a short break. On the other side of this break, Cheche, where opinion counts, is happening. Of course, another very great show that you can expect to tune into coming up shortly. My name is Wahiga Mwaura. Cheche will be up next.